Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to do a tutorial on this look. This is kind of like a chatty get ready with me. I really like these warm cranberry rich tones with like some browns and orangey shades. I think they look really nice together. So if you'd like to see how I got this look, then please keep watching. So I'm going to start out with moisturizing my face, of course. So I'm going to use this IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Cream moisturizer. I really like this. This is just a little sample size, but I really like it. It's really good. And in the winter and fall months, I tend to use more moisturizer on my face, or like a stronger moisturizer if my skin is really dry, just because the cold weather kind of dries out my skin, you know, which is normal for a lot of people. Luckily, my skin on my face doesn't get too dry just with normal moisturizing, because I normally have combination oily skin, but my skin on my hands does get pretty dry, so I have to use pretty intense moisturizing hand creams. Okay, so now to prime my face, I'm going to use the Becca Backlight priming filter in this bottle right here. I like this primer because it gives your skin a really pretty, like, glowy illuminated finish, but it's not like greasy or anything. It's just not a drying primer. It actually gives a little bit of moisture. So especially during like the fall and winter months, if you tend to get a little bit more dry, this is going to be really helpful because it'll add a little bit more moisture to your skin. So now for foundation today, I'm going to use the No. 7 Stay Perfect foundation in the shade Warm Ivory. And this is a drugstore product. They sell this at Target, and I'm not sure what other like drugstores they sell it at, but I've seen this at Target, and then I saw that they were selling this at Ulta. I actually picked it up at Ulta. This isn't a new product for me. I did a review on this. I'll link it up in one of the corners just if you are interested in watching it, but this is a really good foundation. I haven't used it in a while, so I figured I should, you know, use it again because it's really good. The only thing is, this was the lightest shade I could find that was for warm skin tones, that wasn't for cool skin tones, that was, you know, light enough for me, and it's still a little bit too dark, so I just lighten it up with my LA Girl foundation lightener. If you've been watching my channel, you know that I do that with a bunch of my foundations just because they tend to be too dark for me, even if they are the lightest one in that particular range for neutral to warm skin tones. So this is how it looks. It's definitely too dark just on the back of my hand. So I put one pump of the foundation lightener and then just mix it up. There, that looks a bit better. To blend out my foundation today, I'm going to use my IT Cosmetics Love is the Foundation brush. It's their really pretty heart-shaped brush, which is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I believe these brushes benefit the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. I did a video on this brush as well. I can link it so you can watch it if you're interested, but this brush is a pretty good foundation brush. I saw that KathleenLights recommended this. That's why I started using it, and I actually really like it. It's pretty nice. I usually prefer using a beauty blender over a brush, but sometimes it is nice to use a brush just because some people prefer a brush over a beauty blender, so it's nice to, you know, use both just so that you could get a feel for what brushes work and what ones don't. And it's really soft on the skin. And another good thing, like plus about using a brush, is that they tend to blend out your makeup a little bit faster than a beauty blender. So if you are in a rush, I would recommend using a brush just because they work faster. Using beauty blenders takes a little bit longer. So if you are in a crunch for time, reach for a brush. For me, since I have large pores, the one thing about using a brush to blend out my foundation is I noticed that it kind of emphasizes my pores around my nose area. I don't know if that happens with people that have small pores or dry skin. It's probably just because I have large pores and combination oily skin that it kind of does that. But the rest of my face, it seems to blend out pretty well. So I think that this color looks pretty good after lightening it up with that foundation lightener. That LA Girl foundation lightener is like amazing. I really needed that. I'm so happy that they came out with that, because otherwise most of my foundations wouldn't match me. They would mostly be too light, no, too dark for me. Not too light, too dark. Because I am super pale and I didn't get any sun this summer on my face because I always wear sunscreen in the sun. And I just don't go out in the sun that often because I don't like the sun. I don't like it when it's hot. I don't like being out in the heat. So when it's hot, I prefer to stay indoors. That's why I love the fall, because it's nice and cool, so when I go outside, it's not hot. When I'm using this big mirror, it's so heavy. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm gonna get my little Sephora mirror. Yeah, so this LA Girl stuff, I love this. I'm so glad that LA Girl came out with this. Thank you, LA Girl. You saved me from always wearing foundations that don't match me, because now I could lighten up any foundation and make it my color. Okay, so that is the foundation blended out basically everywhere. And I just love how this combination of the foundation and that Becca primer, the Backlight priming filter, I love how it gives such a really pretty, like healthy, dewy look to the skin. It's not gonna look this dewy once I set it, of course. It's going to look more matte, but I think it looks really pretty and it just gives your skin a really healthy, like, glow. For concealer, I think I'll just go with my Tarte Shape Tape because it's the best. So I use the shade Fair Neutral. I'm sad this is starting to run out. I'm gonna need to get another one. This is my second bottle of this so far because it's so good. There are other concealers I've tried that are kind of comparable to this, but I haven't found anything that is as great as this. This is just my favorite. And I was wondering, have any of you tried using this concealer? I know the label or the actual name of it is Shape Tape Contour Concealer, so I know that this is supposed to be a multi-purpose concealer where you can use it for contouring as well. I personally haven't tried it for contouring because I've only bought the shade that would be, you know, like a shade to conceal with and highlight. So I was wondering if any of you have used this to contour and how you liked it, because I'm kind of curious and interested in trying that out. So I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys before I go ahead and buy a darker shade. I'm gonna try blending with this brush. I haven't blended out my concealer yet with this brush, so I'm gonna try it just because I want to see how it works. I usually use my beauty blender to blend out my concealer, but I figured why not just try it like this. I don't know how it's going to work on my nose because, like I said, my nose tends to work better with a sponge, but we'll see. Okay, that didn't do a bad job. I'm just going to fix up some areas around my under eyes and my nose with a beauty blender just because I want to get a really like smooth finish. And like I said, beauty blenders work the best for my nose and my under eyes. I'm going to set my face with the Skinfood Buckwheat Loose Powder. This is in the shade 10. Okay, now to just kind of mattify some areas where it still feels kind of tacky, I'm going to use this Bare Minerals Duo. This is the Bare Minerals Invisible Light Powder Duo, and I'm going to use the matte side just to mattify areas that tend to get a little bit more shiny during the day. So like my cheeks, basically my T-zone and my cheeks, you know. And now it just feels really nice and matte. Then I think I'm going to use a little bit of this glow side just to kind of give my face an all over glow so that I get a little bit more of that like luminosity back from the primer, because once I set my face, like I said, it kind of goes away. So I'll just use this and kind of put it everywhere. Okay, so if you can see, I'm not sure how well it's picking up on camera, but this gives your skin just a really pretty natural looking glow all over the face without looking sparkly or glittery or anything like that. If you're someone that always has to set your face like me because you have oily skin and you always lose that luminosity from a foundation or primer, this would be a good option for you to give yourself a little bit more luminosity back with a powder, just to give you a little bit more of a dewy, luminous look without putting an actual highlighter on your whole face, because this is just going to give your face a nice pretty glow. And then later on when you're doing your finishing up your face, you could put highlighter on targeted areas like your cheekbones and your nose and stuff. Just a little, you know, tip in case you are interested. I'm gonna take this off because it's starting to bother my ears, my scalp behind my ears. If I leave it on too long, it kind of gives me a headache because it like puts too much pressure there. I don't know how some people wear headbands all day. Now that the base is done, I'm just going to do my brows off camera real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that my brows are done, I'm going to move on to the eyes. I kind of want to do like a dark cranberry looking eye. I really like those like cranberry burgundy shades on the eyes. I think they look really pretty, especially for fall. I think it would look so pretty for like a Thanksgiving look. I mean, anytime in the fall or during the winter would look great, but it just like screams Thanksgiving for me just because it's like cranberry, like cranberry sauce, you know what I mean? So I might go into this shade right here from the Naked Cosmetics Urban Rustic palette. It is a little bit more like a purpley shade, not as much like a cranberry shade, so I might look for another shade. I'm gonna see if I have anything else. I might go into this one instead. This is the Blinc Electric Eyes palette. I don't remember what this is called, but it was in a Boxycharm box. I'm probably gonna use this shade because it looks more like a cranberry shade to me. I like both of these palettes. They're both really, really good palettes, but I just want to see what one looks more like a cranberry shade. The one down here is the one from Blinc, and then the one on the top is the Naked one. The Naked one looks more like a wine, like purple shade, whereas the one on the bottom from the Blinc palette looks more of a cranberry shade, if you know what I mean. So I think I'm going to use that one instead, but I do love this palette. It's really good. We'll see how this goes, but I'm going to probably use the Morphe KathleenLights palette, the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia, and then the BH Cosmetics Carly Bible palette. This is the original one, which I don't think they sell it anymore, but they have the deluxe edition now, which is, I think it either has the same shades as this one or some of the same shades with other shades as well. So you could basically still get this palette, but a larger one. I'm not sure if I'm going to use all of these palettes, but they were the ones that looked best. I did some swatches to see what I want to do. And of course, just like with my other videos, I always say this, but whenever I'm doing any of these kind of tutorials, don't feel like you can't do this unless you have these specific palettes. You could use any eyeshadow palettes you have that have similar shades and, you know, basically recreate it just using what you have. I'm just using whatever I have that kind of speaks to me, that kind of looks like it's going to work with the shades I'm doing. But, you know, just use any kind of like cranberry shades you have and any transition shades you have that are similar. Starting out, I'm going to go into the Morphe and KathleenLights palette and take this shade right here. As you can see, I use that shade a lot because I hit the pan on that. I'm just going to use this on my brow bone just to do a matte highlight so that when I start blending the darker colors, they don't stick to my brow bone. So I just basically put this on my brow bone and then kind of bring it down a little bit so that it'll help blend out the darker shadows later on. And I put a little bit in my inner corner just to set down that area again so that the darker shadows don't tend to stick there. It'll just help later on when you apply darker shades. Okay, now I'm going to go into this shade up here as a transition shade. It's basically just a light brown, kind of like a peanut butter shade in my opinion. There's a lot of palettes that have similar shades to this. It's just a really, you know, basic transition shade that you could use in your crease. So I'm basically just going to start building up the crease just to get some color there. And this will help to blend out so that when I put that darker burgundy kind of cranberry color down, it's not going to be so harsh because this will help blend it out. And for me, for my particular eye shape and for like what I personally think looks good on my eyes, I blend my transition shade up pretty high, almost to my brow bone, just because I have a lot of space, like a lot of eyelid space from my lash line up to my brow. There's just a lot of skin there, if you know what I mean. So that's why I bring it up so high, because if I don't, then it's all going to be focused right on my eyelid, and then there's going to be all this space between my brow and my crease, and it's just going to not look as like complete and smoked out, if you know what I mean. This kind of makes my eye look bigger and it just looks better in my opinion. But of course, just adjust this to your liking based on like your own eye shape and your own preferences. Now I'm going to try to get some of that more burgundy color right in the crease, but I'm going to start with a matte shade. So I'm going to go into the Morphe palette again and use this darkest burgundy type shade right here, and I'm using this Moda Pearl brush. It is the crease brush, the BMX 430 crease brush. I like using this to apply color right in my crease because since it has that tapered point to it, but it's still a fluffy blending brush, it allows you to be really precise and then blend it out so it kind of sticks to the one area you apply it to. So I'm just going to dip it into that shade. So I'm going to apply it right into the crease just to start adding some of that burgundy color so that when I go in with the shimmery shade on my lid, it's not going to be like so harsh. It's going to have this already blended in. And put a little bit on the outer corner because I just want to start creating that C shape. And then I'm going to go back into that transition shade and add some more just to start blending it a little bit. I'm going to go into the burgundy like cranberry shade right here. This is super shimmery. It looks so pretty on the lid. And I'm going to use this flat shader brush from Bodyography Pro. It'll just make it easy to apply this right on the lid. Just going to pack some on that brush. I just use whatever setting spray I have on hand and just spray the brush. I always like to wet my brush with a setting spray when I use shimmery shades because it just helps it to stick better and look more metallic and foiled, you know, more shimmery. I'm just going to add this all over the lid. And if you get any fallout, just use a fluffy brush like the one that you used for your powder to set your face. And now I'm going to go into the Modern Renaissance palette. And I'm going to take these two shades right here. They're Red Ochre and Venetian Red. I'm just going to mix them together and apply them to my crease, just so that it has some nice definition and starts blending. Okay, I'm going to go back into that transition color I used in the Morphe palette and just add a little bit more right above that crease shade, just so that it's nice and blended. Okay, so now for my inner corner, I'm going to take this lightest shimmery shade in the Morphe palette, and I'll just apply this right to my inner corner. And I did use some more setting spray just to intensify it, because that lid shade is so intense. I really want to intensify the inner corner highlight as well. And then I'll put a little bit of that on my brow bone as well. Just a little bit. So now for the lower lash line, I'm going to take that transition shade again and just buff it on my lower lash line. And then I'll go back into the Modern Renaissance palette and use the two shades right here, Red Ochre and Venetian Red. This is an angled liner brush. And I'm just going to add this to my lower lash line, but really close to like my waterline. So right up against my lashes. So that finishes up the eyeshadow. I'm just going to finish up with some winged liner and mascara, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now my eyes are all done, and if you can see, I have a little bit of mascara right there. That's just because I messed up. I'm just going to let it dry completely, and then I'll just like flick it off with a brush after. So I'm going to start contouring my face with the Anastasia contour kit. I don't know, when I'm looking at my viewfinder, my face looks like it almost has like a white cast to it. I don't know if it's from that Bare Minerals powder I used on top of my face, this one right here. I don't know if it's the matte one or the highlighting one, but my face looks like super pasty right now. I mean, I know I have fair skin, but it almost looks like it has like a white cast to it. So hopefully once I contour and bronze up my face, that will go away, because I don't know if it's just the lighting or if it's from that, but I don't know. I kind of look like a ghost right now. I look pretty pale. I'll put some on the forehead to minimize the 5 head. Don't worry, I know I have big forehead. I used to get offended if someone said that, but now I don't really care. I'm okay with it. Whatever. Who cares, right? Doesn't matter. No one is perfect. Everyone has things that they don't like about themselves, and now the way I look at it is, this is the face that God gave me, and I am happy that I'm healthy and alive and that I have a beautiful family, and you know, don't need to worry about these little things like that you have a big forehead or a big nose. You can use makeup and, you know, enhance your features and make it look more like you like, but you don't need to worry about it so much. Don't worry about what people think. You know, everyone's beautiful. You don't need to worry about comparing yourself to what society considers to be beautiful, you know? That's just my opinion. I know that doesn't have anything to do with this video, but I figured why not just share how I feel about that, because I have a beauty channel, I'm doing makeup videos, and I don't want you guys to think that I'm shallow or like all about looks and how you look and just obsessed with that, because I want you guys to know that you don't even have to wear makeup to be beautiful. You're beautiful no matter what. Just want you guys to know that you don't feel like you have to look a certain way and compare yourself to, you know, Instagram, magazines, models, actresses, actors, any, you know, just no matter who you are, you don't need to worry about that. And I know it takes time to be comfortable in your own skin, especially when you're growing up in middle school and high school, or any age now. I feel like even maybe elementary school, I feel like people are just, it's really hard to grow up nowadays with so much social media presence in people's lives and so much, you know, just like influence on people kids feeling like they have to look a certain way and do certain things to be accepted. And I just really hope that you guys could, you know, see past that and just know that that doesn't matter, and that what you see on Instagram and in magazines is a lot of times photoshopped anyway. I personally edit a lot of my Instagram posts to make my skin look better, just because it is a makeup, you know, photo, and I want my skin to look smooth, and that's just what makes me feel comfortable. So if I'm like, you know, showing a makeup video, I want my skin to look nice and smooth. So I do edit it a little bit using editing software or editing apps on my phone. I don't have Photoshop on my computer, but you know, just know that a lot of times when you see things, it's not like that in reality. So just try to remember that and not compare yourself to what you see on the internet. So I'm just contouring my nose because, like I said before, I acknowledge that I have a big nose, but I just use makeup to contour it to make it look how I like it. And I don't really care. And that's it. I dropped my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, so I'm going to use the Essence Bronzer instead. This is the Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder for lighter skin in the shade 01 Natural. And I'm just going to dip this large fan brush in there. This is from Crown Brush. It is the SS023 Jumbo Kabuki Fan Brush. And I'm just going to apply this to my cheeks just to help bronze it up. I like using bronzer after I contour just to help blend everything together and, you know, warm up the face a little bit. In my opinion, it just makes my contour look more natural. And this bronzer works really well for me because it's light enough for my skin tone. Some bronzers, or a lot of bronzers, tend to, like the ones that you see most people wearing, they tend to be too dark for me. This one works really well for me because it's for lighter skin. So I'm just going to bronze up my whole face. Well, not my whole face, but you know, the areas you would normally bronze up. And now for some blush, I'm going to use this Essence Satin Touch blush right here. It's in the shade Satin Love. I love this blush. It is so good and it's really affordable. I think this blush is like $3, something like that. I'm going to use this Moda Pro pointed blush brush. It's the BMX 130 brush. So just dip it in, tap off the excess. I don't like a lot of blush, especially with this bold eye look. I just want to have a little bit of blush just to kind of give a nice little bit of warmth to the cheeks without looking too intense. And I like this shade because this shade works really well with basically any eye look because it's a very pretty light neutral, kind of like a dusty rose shade, if you know what I mean. Finally, to highlight the face, I'm going to use the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter. I'm using a lot of Essence products for my face, but they're really good. And this is in the shade Be My Highlight. My container is broken because the packaging is really cheap, but it still works fine. The actual product works fine, even though the packaging sucks. And this is one of those highlights that you could kind of build up a little bit. It has a really nice natural looking glow, but you can build it up to make it more intense. So I like using this illuminator brush from Bogacci because it's more of a precise highlighting brush, so you can apply it to those targeted areas. And then I use a fan brush after to blend it out. So I just use it right here, right where I want to highlight the cheekbone or the highest points of my face, you know. And that is a pretty strong highlight because of this brush. This brush makes it really strong. So if you're someone that is looking for a highlight and you have fair skin and you want something affordable, I would definitely recommend trying out the Essence highlighter because this is one of my favorite highlights just to use in general in my collection because it's light enough for my skin tone and it works really well. It doesn't look powdery, it doesn't look glittery, it just has a really beautiful finish. And I just dip a fan brush in there and then just kind of dust over it, just to blend over it to make everything look a little bit more blended, in case there's too much of a harsh line from that other brush, you know. And I love how this highlight looks on the skin because it gives that kind of a wet, glowy look rather than a powdery, glittery highlight. And then I just take whatever left over on the brush, whatever excess is on the brush, and I just use it on my forehead, like on the sides a little bit, and then you could use it on your nose just to blend out that nose highlight. Before I do my lipstick, I do have some areas where it's starting to look a little bit too shiny for me. I want to use this, but I can't really show you it. It's the Essence All About Matte Fixing Compact Powder, but I hit the pan and mine broke. You know, that happens when you hit pan, it kind of just cracks sometimes. So I'm just going to use this in areas where I look a little bit too shiny that I don't want to look too shiny, you know? Like I want to look shiny on my cheeks right here and my nose, but I don't want to look shiny right here in between my brows because then it just looks like oily. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this powder right here. See, now it doesn't look like super shiny. I'll put a little bit on my cheeks right here just because I don't want this part to look too like oily. I'm going to put a little bit on the sides of my nose. See, because now it'll look like I have glow in those targeted areas, but I don't have it all over the place. So now I'm just going to set my face. I'm going to use this Project Beauty Spray Set Go Makeup Setting Spray. This isn't one of my favorite setting sprays because it kind of does get little drops on your face. It's not the best mister, but it works okay for me. I just kind of spray it from far away. I think I'm going to use this from Tarte. It is the Lippy Lingerie from Tarte in the shade Pure. It's their matte tint. First, I'm going to line my lips with this Jante Blue lip liner in the shade Brown Sugar. I got this in a Boxycharm box, so I'm just going to line my lips real quick. Okay, and I'll just fill it in with the Tarte Lippy Lingerie. I love these Lippy Lingerie lipsticks from Tarte. They're so creamy. They give a matte finish to your lips, but it's not transfer proof or anything. It's not like it's budge proof, but it feels so nice and creamy on the lips. It doesn't feel drying at all. And with that, that finishes this look. I really like how this came together, the eyes and the lip. I think it looks nice together, the color. This eye look was pretty easy to do, but it looks really bold and festive. It reminds me of like cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Let me know in the comments if you like this type of look for Thanksgiving or for the fall months. I think this looks really nice for fall just because I love these types of colors for fall. These really pretty warm cranberry and brown tones and like orangey tones together. I think they look so nice together, and I think it looks good like for all skin tones, all eye colors, all eye shapes, no matter what. I think it would look good on you. Make sure you tag me on Instagram if you recreate this look. I would love to see your recreations. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I can't wait till Thanksgiving is here. I can't wait to eat some delicious Thanksgiving food, have some pumpkin pie, apple pie, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole. I love Thanksgiving food. Oh, and sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes, like the baked sweet potatoes. They're so good. This is just making me really ready for Thanksgiving, and then once it's Thanksgiving, it's gonna be Black Friday, and then it's gonna be Christmas right around the corner. So this is just my favorite time of year. So I hope you all are having a great start to your holiday season. I hope you all had a really great and safe Halloween. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I'm gonna use the Becca backstage, no, not backstage. I'll link it up below somewhere if you are interested. Not link it up below. Yeah, I'm gonna set my face with the Skinfood, but okay, I didn't know, I don't know why, does this go back in? That was weird. I went back in, but that was strange. Oh my gosh, so messy. Ah! I dropped my bronzer. Get that in a minute. Oh, this powder broke. Put it back in the pink. No! No! Why does it have to break?